Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited. It's Thursday, one of my most favorite days of the week. Welcome to MedWell Unscripted Live. And today we have the greatest show. We have a few things going on. Today we're talking about using cannabinoids for optimal wellness and self-care, because we all know self-care is super important. And we also have a special guest. We have Laura Beohner, and we also have a patient coming on to tell their story about how medicinal cannabis has helped them in their wellness. So it's a great show in store for you. So, all right, let's get started. My name is April, and I'm with MedWell Health and Wellness, and I have Emily Waxman, our Director of Community Outreach. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, everyone.
And we have Laura Beohner, who is our special guest. She is the president and co-founder of the Healing Rose Company, which, like, this is just one accolade we're going to talk about today. She's a busy woman. She's also the director and co-founder of the Mass Hemp Coalition. And she's also is on the advisory board at Elevate Northeast, sorry. So lots of good things and lots of knowledge we're going to be sharing with you today. So we're really excited. Just some housekeeping. We are streaming this to Facebook. We are streaming this to YouTube. If you are catching the replay, no worries. Please feel free to leave a comment and a question. We will absolutely get back to you. And we have our rock star, Kayla from the MedWell team in the chat here, helping answer any questions. So let's get going. Are you ladies excited? Because I know I am.
So excited.
All right, love it. All right, so I'm going to start actually with Emily. Just tell our audience and friends a little bit about MedWell and what you do out in the community.
Of course. So MedWell offers patients everything that they need to receive their medical marijuana certifications. We have 7 locations here throughout Massachusetts, as well as our telehealth option. My favorite part of the job is to be able to go out into the community and talk about why patients would want to come to MedWell, why we're going to be a little bit different than some of the other folks out there. And then I get to meet amazing people like Laura and be able to talk about the amazing things that she does here in the community. And, I could probably just go on and on, so I'll just stop so we can kind of get going. But those are just a few of the things that I take care of over here at MedWell.
Awesome. All right, Laura, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So you gave me a really great introduction. I'd also like to add that I am a local basketball and softball coach as a way to find
your free time.
Oh my gosh. Where do you find the time
for it.
Laura?
I've been an athlete my whole life, so it's kind of just like that missing piece I have back.
That's awesome.
And it also just helps me disconnect from the constant need to feel like I always need to work. So I do love coaching as well. But yeah, a little bit about me. I have been using cannabis medicinally actually since freshman year in college when I was 18. I actually got my medical marijuana recommendation as soon as I was able to here in Massachusetts. I believe it was like end of 2012 or 2013, which was awesome. I went through college. I graduated cum laude from Northeastern, and I was a teaching and research assistant, and I taught classes, and I was also very open about my cannabis use and that I wanted to be a cannabis entrepreneur all throughout my classes. So anytime I could talk about cannabis, write about cannabis, mention it, and also kind of brag that maybe I was like one of the best kids in the class while using cannabis, I took the opportunity because I really felt like this stigma was there that I just did not identify with, and neither did my friends and a lot of the successful people I was seeing that use cannabis. So that's kind of back when I first started. I already was feeling really passionate about it even before I kind of got into advocacy and when I was still a student. And then I, in 2013, actually got the chance to go out to the High Times Cup out in Denver, and my eyes were just like lit up. And I just saw this huge industry and all these people that I loved and this energy that was just so infectious. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a cannabis entrepreneur. And previously, that wasn't really an industry. It was more of like a black market type thing. And that's not something you'd want to tell your parents and come home and say, I want to sell cannabis. But things were changing, and I kind of got that glimpse out in Denver, and it just kind of solidified my dream. So as soon as I graduated from Northeastern University, I actually went down to Northeastern Institute of Cannabis, which is not related and not a school anymore, unfortunately. But I did get my, it was like 50 hours in a class, take 12 different subjects, all about cannabis, all the different aspects of cannabis. And that was like my real kind of foot into the door into the local space here. And then at the same time, I started going to women grow events, which at the time when they first started out were like 12, 14, 16 women all coming together in downtown Boston, talking about different subjects on cannabis. And my fourth event is when I actually applied to start helping run Women Grow. And I ended up becoming a chair and putting on events and speaking at them and, you know, just creating this huge network for myself right out of college.
Good for you.
And that was really, if you want to get into an industry, especially if you're young and you're eager, you just got to get in and get everywhere. I know that's hard in a pandemic, but when things normalize, and there are ways still online to be active and involved, but I just dove in head first. And even though I have social anxiety and it's always out of my comfort zone to go to those type of things, I kept pushing myself. Then I started doing public speaking, which I always absolutely hated, but just pushing myself out of my comfort zone more and more and more. And then 2016, I actually dislocated my kneecap. And that was my fourth time doing it. So it wasn't like something that was new for me, but it was actually at a rock show where someone was thrown on top of me. And it was a very violent dislocation. Originally it was in basketball. Gosh. Yeah, originally it was in basketball in high school. And it just it was the worst. It was really swollen. I couldn't walk for 2 weeks, and I ended up having a cannabis topical that someone had made at their home that also used herbs, essential oils, and cannabis. And it was for cramps, actually. She said it was for your lower stomach. But I was dying. I was coming back actually from Philadelphia. I was in so much pain. I didn't even know what to do. So I put the salve all over my knee, and it actually changed the color of my bruising the next day. And it just provided this relief that I was like, oh my gosh, I've been using cannabis medically, you know, mostly smoking. And, you know, I'm not too much of an edibles person, but not realizing that topicals were this huge tool that I could have been using to help with pain and inflammation, which is what I was using cannabis for as an athlete. It was just my light bulb moment. And that set me off into learning all about organic skincare formulation and trying to create the best skincare products I could. And that required a lot of education. So really after my dislocation, I'd say the first 6 to 8 months with us launching the Healing Rose and everything was just strictly educating myself and my partner. And skincare is, if you get into the world of skincare, there's a lot of safety and precautions that you have to take when you're creating these type of products. That set me into that world as well. So cannabis kind of launched me into this like plant medicine, amazing world of plants. And I'm just so grateful that cannabis has been such an ally for me and also just created my entire life. And I really do feel like my purpose is to serve the cannabis plant and to help people have access to it in any way I can.
Wow, what an amazing story of how you got into the field. And I love your passion. And I think one of the things is we always have in our audience people looking to get into the industry. So you brought up key points of networking and putting yourself out there outside of your comfort zone because those connections, I'm sure, helped you to create the Healing Rose Company, right? Yeah,
yes. My network was actually everything. You know, if I didn't have my Women Grow Now Elevate network, if I didn't have the local community, I don't think we would have been able to be as successful as we were, especially as quick as we were. And, you know, selling topicals is not the easiest of all cannabinoid and products to sell. I mean, edibles, people, sure, I'll eat a candy bar, flour. It's very easy to sell those things. But when you sell topicals, I think my network and how passionate the people behind the products were that were using them is why we were so successful. I owe everything to the other people. It's not me. It really is everyone else that was around me and supported me.
That's great.
So let's talk about the Healing Rose Company. Tell us a little bit about it. So you, I have no doubt the beauty industry, first of all, it's highly competitive, right? But you're in a very specific niche market. So kind of talk a little bit about you turned that terrible injury into something that, you know, is a thriving business. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, I didn't really I wasn't able to find the topical that I wanted on the market. For me to find something that has all certified organic ingredients, that uses herbs and essential oils really purposefully, I just didn't see it. So, that's really what we try to do. We only use certified organic carrier oils, essential oils, butters, waxes, and herbs. Our broad spectrum CBD is actually USDA certified organic. We really, really try to only choose organic ingredients whenever possible. And that's just kind of really inherent to our brand. So in the effort to create the highest quality topicals, we also are very conscious about creating accessible products that have a really affordable cannabinoid to price ratio. And then we also really focus on offering different types of topicals and wellness products. So we have salves, massage oils, bath soaks, roll-on oils, lip balms. And then we also offer CBD oils, which are pretty much like a sublingual that can really balance out someone's wellness routine.
Awesome.
The website, Laura, that you have is really fantastic. So for all of our friends that are watching, I really encourage you to check it out, because not only do you have a beautiful picture and description of all the products, but what I love is that you actually have a page that you've actually sent your products to the lab to be tested so that people can see exactly what they are putting inside and on their bodies. So, it's really fantastic. I have, just heard the most amazing things about the products that you have, and the name itself, it just has such a, wonderful, wonderful, when you think of the Healing Rose, you just think of the most amazing products. So definitely encourage folks to check it out if you are not familiar with Laura's products.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate you bringing up the lab results page, because that's something that we put a lot of effort and money into, because lab testing is not cheap. And actually, as of about, I think it's a year and a half ago, we actually started putting all of the extract numbers on our batch stickers on the product. So you can actually look up the extract that you have in your particular product and look up all 6 panels of it. And then we also do finished product testing about every month on all the different products, and you can go online and check those out too. So we really try to go above and beyond and really set the bar high for lab results expectations.
Amazing. Awesome. And I'm sure that everyone really appreciates that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's going to be more of the standard rather than the expectation too going forward. So people are moving for that.
Definitely.
And is it only products online, or do you have a storefront as well?
No, so everything is on our website, of course, and we are in, it's hard with the pandemic. Before the pandemic, well over 150 retail locations, but
Amazing.
probably now like around 100, just because so many have closed and things. But we are, we ship to anywhere in the United States for the most part. And then if you ever are local to Newburyport, we used to have an inside little like boutique into our manufacturing facility. But with the pandemic, we're closed. However, you can pick curbside pickup for free, and we'll just bring your order right out to you. So we try to make it as easy as possible. And it's free to pick up. So that's nice too.
Yeah, it is.
Let's talk a little bit about kind of our how cannabinoids and kind of medicinal cannabis go hand in hand. So you've created this great wellness company with products that help in that. So let's talk a little bit about kind of how the cannabinoid process happens in wellness and some of the products that maybe not just in general from the medicinal side, because you are a patient, a cannabis patient, right? So you have experience with it. And then just even creating some of your own products. Can you talk a little bit to that?
Yeah, for sure. Personally, I use a whole different array of cannabis products. When it comes to anything inhalation, I would recommend that people maybe stay away from combustible flower and stick more towards vaping flower or concentrates. I'm a huge fan of hash rosin myself. As a long-term patient, I do have a decent tolerance. So concentrates for me just give me a lot more focused of an experience than flower. So I think people kind of always just think of their first thought about cannabis is just to smoke a joint or a bowl, but there's so many other ways that you can consume that can really help your life. Another great one that I don't think gets nearly enough love is suppositories. We actually will send them out to anyone for free, CBD suppositories. If anyone ever emails us, we don't sell them, but it's kind of like a little, we call ourselves like suppository fairies. We like to just like share them with people because they can help people in so many ways. We actually have 2 team members who deal with colitis and Crohn's. One each has the other. And suppositories have been a game changer for them. It actually can help you bypass your liver when you're consuming it. It goes right into your bloodstream. And they're really, really easy to make at home. You just need suppository molds, some cocoa butter, and you can really do them yourselves as a patient, and they can be incredibly helpful. So I always like to make sure I bring that up for people. And then also there's, topicals, which we make are going to provide you localized relief. And then things like inhalation or tinctures, edibles are going to provide you systemic relief. So kind of understanding what your body needs. And a lot of times, treating it both systemically and localized can really be like that. The pinnacle of treatment is coming out of different ways.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Laura, because, I had the wonderful opportunity to be able to speak to our patients on the phone. And, when they're talking to me and they're booking the appointment, we're so used to conventional medicine where, our doctor is telling us what to take and how much to take and to call them when, they've been on it for a little bit and see, how we're feeling. And so, going this route is so different. And so it's so wonderful that you're able to come on a show like ours and provide just, some recommendations that, patients out there or folks out there just might not know about, or who would ever really think about suppositories, but that's really a wonderful suggestion that so many folks suffer from so many different ailments. And so I just think it's so wonderful you can, mention some of these things out there so that people can have that in their minds next time that they're shopping and thinking about, what they're suffering with.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, Emily, because I think cannabis can be intimidating for so many new patients.
Absolutely.
Who think all they have to do is smoke something and they hate smoking something. So they're like,
correct.
Oh my God, I have to just force myself to just get down this joint or something. But that's not even close to what cannabis really encompasses. There's just so many options. And, there's even things like inhalers now at dispensaries. So there's just so many neat products coming out. And I think as time goes on, that those options will only increase and people will move away from the traditional aspect of smoking cannabis.
Absolutely.
Sure. If you were to give kind of just some top 3 things for patients to consider when they're looking to use cannabis for their wellness, what would they be? Because you've had some different experiences. So what would be your top 3 recommendations?
Sure. Number 1, keep a journal and record what you're consuming and how you feel. I think you might realize I really love this strain. I'll never forget that I love this one, that this really helped me with that stomach issue I'm dealing with. Write it down, write how much you consumed, figure out some kind of scaling, maybe 0 through 10 or something, how you felt. Would you want to use this again? Just really understanding and your body. Everyone's so different. Everyone's body's going to react differently, and kind of just accepting that and going on that self-discovery journey, I think, is really, really key to getting the most out of your experience.
Great idea. It's a great idea.
Number 2, I would definitely say make sure you understand the sourcing behind the medicine and also the ingredients that are in there. If you're going to be consuming an edible that's filled with sugar, that might not actually give you the desired effect that you want medicinally because you're consuming a ton of sugar. And also understanding the cannabis, how it's grown, looking for lab results. Massachusetts, we're very lucky that there's very strict lab standards here for testing, but that's not the case in every state. And also there are products at dispensaries that have other ingredients besides cannabis that you might not want to be putting on, such as synthetics to your skin, essential oils in your tinctures. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen that. You don't want to consume essential oils. No matter how many MLMs want to tell you it's okay to consume, it actually can cause damage in your body over time. So if you see a rose oil or something in a tincture, just making sure that that's not an essential oil, just being a smart advocate for yourself. And then 3, I'd say just remember that cannabis is just one of the wellness tools in your toolkit. that drinking water, eating really nourishing food, and being active in whatever capacity you're able to in your body is going to give you that best balance in life. You can't just rely on cannabis to be the the panacea for everything. That you really need to think about the overall picture and using it just as one of those pieces.
Love that.
Great advice.
Great. So that was wonderful. Thank you for all of that insight. Now I want to talk a little bit about kind of the Mass Hemp Coalition and what you're doing there and how that came to be, because I know that there's been some intricate advocacy and advocation of change and things. So can you talk a little bit about that and share what you're up to there?
Yeah, for sure. So June of 2019, the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture came out with a list of prohibited products that would have hemp in them, hemp cannabinoids rather, and that included food, pet products, hemp flower to end consumers, pretty much every product besides topicals, which is what we focus on. So the industry here, everyone kind of just like looked at each other like, what are we supposed to do? There's so many people making these products out there. There are people planning to make these products. And I think everyone pretty much was in a position that they would kind of be throwing themselves under the bus almost to step up and to take leadership. So I felt like it was like almost like the universe is like, Laura, you have to step up right now. You have to lead this charge. You're in a very safe position with your company and you have like the ability to have a voice for others. So within 48 hours, we got a group of about 30 or so entrepreneurs here in Massachusetts. And we got together and we figured out, what are we supposed to do? Let's get organized. Let's create a voice and let's just start taking it to the state house. Because if you're upset, you got to take it to the state house. You got to get legislative change happening. You can't just like sit there and be bitter and stir and say, oh man, this really stinks. I wish there was something I could do. Because we actually do have representatives at the state house that work for us. So remembering, hey, these people work for us. I'm going to go put them to work and we're going to go see what we can do. So within 2 weeks after us having that first meeting, we had another meeting. And then we also had a state house rally where we had over 100 people show up. We had 25 speakers or so. And we also organized 6 or so meetings with legislators before and after the rally up at the State House. And we made a ton of noise. And all the legislators, honestly, we didn't find one legislator that didn't want to support us. However, it was almost like the Schoolhouse Rock, the bill that goes up on Capitol Hill. He just like hung out there forever and got forgotten about. So as much as noise as we need to get food allowed, that unfortunately died in the legislation, but is being brought back this year as a bill. So it's still alive. We're still working to get that passed. But we did make a lot of noise and we got a lot of things to happen. And more recently, the Mass Hemp Coalition with Hillary King, who actually wrote the legislative amendment into the hemp budget, the annual budget for Massachusetts for the year. That is going to allow for MDAR licensed products to be sold at dispensaries very soon. I don't know when. I'm trying very hard to find that date, but the government loves to give you vague answers and never give you an absolute until they know. So I'm not sure on the date on that, but it's going to be very soon. It passed about 90 days ago. And that's going to just create so much opportunity for hemp farmers. It's going to allow for hemp to be used as a food at dispensary products. So it's just going to create a lot of revenue streams, hopefully, for people that are feeling really down and out, not with just the pandemic, but with how restrictive Massachusetts has been on hemp farmers and hemp processors here. So, it's important to have that advocacy. We don't take any money. It's literally just you can join if you want. There's no like exclusivity. It's just people that are passionate about the hemp plant. That's all we're about.
That's awesome.
And how many members deep are you in terms of the coalition?
So like I said, we don't have like signups or anything. We tried doing that, and I realized it's just so much better if we keep any money out of it and we just keep this strictly about the plant. So I think in Facebook we have close to 800 members in our private group, probably like 1,300 or so likes on our page. I'm not sure, but yeah, we are just trying to create a space for hemp farmers and processors to come together, share their issues, find solutions. Our private group is awesome. I let people post anyone who is having issues, and we find a lot of solutions for people that just need a network to ask. And so that's it was really lacking here in Massachusetts with hemp. So I'm really grateful that we have this little community and everyone's so nice. And it makes things like just a lot easier.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really great.
So what barriers do you see? Kind of, we're in this place in Massachusetts. We've come a long way comparatively to other states in the United States, right? So like, what are some of the barriers? I know earlier today you mentioned about kind of the Women Growers Network and how there was 12. I'm sure that's a bigger group now. Like there's, what are the barriers still that we face in the cannabis industry here in Mass?
Yeah, I mean, I think to own a cannabis business is unfortunately very expensive here in Massachusetts. That is why I own a hemp business. We started with $10,000 and just grinded our way up and never took investments. So it's possible, I'd say more to, if you want to do your own thing and get into this space somehow, to start in hemp. Because if you do want to just start a cannabis Massachusetts business, you're going to need, I mean, it depends on what you're looking to do, but several $100,000 at minimum. Some people would say even $1 million to start your own business.
Right.
So you can absolutely go fundraise. You can find investors if that's something you're interested in. If you're more interested in like the organic route, like myself, I'd say start in hemp. We actually are going to be releasing a THC CBD solve co-branded with a operator here in Massachusetts shortly, in about 6 to 8 weeks. So we haven't fully gone public with the name on that yet. However, I wouldn't have been able to create that product with my personal income and what I have my assets. I had to partner with someone, and that can be a really great route for people that don't have a lot of assets to be working with, but still have great ideas and have something they truly believe in, is maybe partnering and finding the right strategic partners to get in, because it is really expensive and there's a risk too. Like you might be able to get into this space and take all this money and, you go through all these things and there's things that could happen that could harm your path. So if finding a strategic partner for a lot of people can be a lot easier. And then I would say if you're looking just to find a job in this space, just being persistent. Elevate Northeast has a scholarship program if you're looking to find additional educational opportunities to educate yourself in cannabis in this industry. But there are a lot of opportunities out there for employment, and they're growing. There's so many dispensaries opening up. It's incredible. So if you want to get in this space, this is a great time to figure out employment. And if you are looking to be an entrepreneur in the space, maybe getting a job first, so you can, do your entrepreneurial activities at night and work in the industry during the day might be the best for you to kind of get to dive head first and really give it your all, get with what you have.
And Elevate Northeast is working with the community college, right? Down in
Holyoke. They're doing incredible things, and they also put on a lot of educational series. I'm not sure about an upcoming one in the near future, but we do have a lot of plans to create more series, and becoming a member also allows you to access all of those things for free. Right. And there are also opportunities if money is an issue, you can reach out and we will work with you as well.
Well, and I think what's great too is that, when you talk about getting in the industry, and even yourself when you started off, even though the program doesn't exist anymore, there is lots of educational programs that will help you to be better ready to jump into a job at a dispensary, and probably shows your passion and commitment to wanting to be part of the industry, and maybe will help you even get, ahead in kind of the resume pile that comes in.
Yeah, I will say our most recent hire actually went to NIC as well. So I just love that she had that passion and that she just wants to be in this industry. And sometimes it's just showing how badly you want to do something to get anything. Like I tell all my my girls on basketball, I coach JV, and I say, if you want to be on varsity, half the battle is showing that you want to be there. It really is all about your attitude and the effort that you put in. And employers love seeing eager, passionate people. I mean, that's who you want on your team. So if that's you, make sure you show people that that's you right away.
That's like the best life lesson you could really ever hand down to those girls. Cause if you can have a good attitude and effort, it just goes such a long way. And we've had numerous folks on Unscripted that have given some really wonderful advice about, getting into the industry, and really, it's really a matter of just, I think, jumping in and just trying a little bit of everything to kind of see, what you're liking, what you're not liking, and just trying to find that right little space for yourself. Because like April just said, with so many dispensaries opening right now, and just, or like you said, Laura, the industry is just growing leaps and bounds by the minute.
Absolutely. And if you have any, volunteer work that you can put on there, any events you've gone to in the cannabis space that just show you're passionate about this plant, it really will help you rise above, because a lot of people applying to these jobs don't have any cannabis background whatsoever. So make sure you just show your passion for the plant. That's what really I hope most of us are here for, in this space, is how much we love the plant.
So true.
Laura, your knowledge is amazing, and we really so much appreciate you being here today and sharing all of this with our audience. So in the chat, friends, and I'm going to have Kayla post it again, where you can find Laura at the Healing Rose Company and her website, and then also the Mass Hemp Coalition information in the chat for you. Thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate all of your time.
Thank you for having me.
And so, my unscripted friends, today we have a first in our unscripted. We actually have one of our MedWell patients is here to share his cannabis story. We're really excited because one of the things that MedWell, the core in our mission is to help patients and ease their pain and wellness. It's all about wellness. And our friend Greg, who I'm going to bring on in a minute, is going to tell his story and how medical cannabis has really changed his life and his cancer treatment. Because we see a lot of patients that have cancer and aren't sure how cannabis can help them. So if you will join me, I'm going to bring my friend Greg in here. Hey, Greg.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning.
Greg.
Good morning. It's great to see you. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Good. All right. So Greg and I actually have spoke a few times, and we were talking. He shared his cannabis story and kind of where he was diagnosed with cancer. And what I'm going to do is, Greg, I would love for you to kind of share your story.
Sure.
Tell our audience a little bit about what made you decide to turn to medicinal cannabis for your to help get you through treatment and to get through kind of the lasting effects, unfortunately, that happen after cancer treatment.
Well, I've been a cannabis patient since 2017, and I was actually, became a patient. Really, this was pre-cancer for a couple of other issues: insomnia, pain, also sleep apnea. And I found that it really helped me, especially the insomnia issue. And then at the end of 2019, I ended up being diagnosed with lymphoma. And I knew, that cannabis could help with things like chemotherapy. And of course, I discussed it with my doctors. I wasn't going to hide it from them because I know I didn't want to have anything be a problem as far as mixing whatever I was on chemo-wise. And it was interesting because my doctors basically said, well, we have all these other medications that we're going to give you, so we don't think you need to use that. But the problem, of course, with some of the other meds is the fact that they have all these side effects, opioids and things of that nature, that I really wasn't that comfortable with. And I said, well, I'm going to see how cannabis helps. And it did. So I continued on that path, and I think it really helped me. I mean, as I told you, April, I had some dark days going through whatever it was, 5 months of chemotherapy. And on some of those occasions, I got through the day because of cannabis.
Sure. And now did you have radiation too, or was just the chemotherapy? Just the chemotherapy?
I went through stem cell replacement therapy. So that was sort of an additional step that I decided to do.
And what type of products did you found that worked for you? Was there, that would be great to share.
Well, one of the things that came up during the show, you were talking about all the different types of products that are out there. And one of the things you talked about was smoking. And, again, that was something that I wasn't, all that comfortable with. Sure. And so edibles, vaporizers, Concentrates a little bit, but I haven't really gotten, I guess, what I would call the effects out of concentrates. I don't know if I'm not using the right things or not, but it's mostly been edibles. And I do use flower, but I use a vaporizer for that as opposed to smoking it. But I haven't tried things like you mentioned, suppositories, which I saw, but I was sort of wondering, I don't know how that's going to work. And then, and certainly things like, salves and all that kind of stuff. I haven't really gone into any of that. So like I said, it's mostly been, flower, vaporizers, and edibles.
Okay. And, I think one of the things, I know you said you started using it before that you had chemotherapy for some
Right.
other things. One of the things is a lot of times patients are unsure of the process. They're unsure of kind of what to expect when they schedule their certification appointment and kind of how that works. Would you mind sharing a little bit about kind of your story and how that, like when you first scheduled your appointment with MedWell, what was that like? And kind of what was the process like?
Well, the funny thing is I almost did it on a whim where I happened to be in a location where one of the offices was. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go in there because, like I said, I was having this problem with insomnia and some other things. And I just kind of went in to just talk to someone, really without not the intention that, I was going to sign up. But when I, spoke to people about it and I explained what was going on in my life, and they said, you definitely would qualify, and we think, that we'd be able to help you out. And so at that point I said, okay, well, if I can get an appointment, which I did, and I spoke with a doctor about everything. The problem was at that point I was a little unprepared. And so one of the things was like, we need to see your medical history. And luckily I was able to, with my phone, get online and say, okay, here's, some of my medical records. And the doctor was like, oh yeah, you have these medical conditions that are we're going to be able to help you with. So it was very easy. And it didn't take very long. I mean, I might have been there for a couple of hours, and I had several interviews with really a few people, and including the doctor, to sort of explain what the rules were and all of that. And it was very easy. So anybody out there who's maybe intimidated about, well, geez, do I really want to do this? I can definitely verify that it's a very easy process.
Awesome. And so, and then once you had your certification appointment, you got certified, kind of what was the next step? What happened when you walked into the dispensary for the first time?
Yeah.
Because I think that's the next step. So you have one piece out, and then it's like, okay, now I need to walk in and buy product. And for some people, that's a little nerve-wracking. Like, what do I do? What do I ask?
Yeah.
Those types of questions.
Yeah, I sort of, got myself prepared. And again, knowing what my medical conditions were, I went into a dispensary and, sat down with someone and, explained what I needed. I think the big thing for me was knowing what different products were out there. And like when it comes to edibles, like the amounts, the doses, because of course you hear all these things like, someone took, half a candy bar and, didn't have a good experience. And what made me comfortable was, okay, this has 5 milligrams or this has 10 milligrams. And, you want to start out with the lowest achievable dose and then see what that does to you. Someone mentioned a log. And one of the first dispensaries I went in handed me a pamphlet of stuff, and it included a log. So that whole thing about being able to record what you're taking and what kind of effects, how long does it last, all of those sort of things. So the initial thing was, again, I was very comfortable with it because once I talked to someone about, what I needed, they were able to say, okay, this is what I recommend. And then went home and tried it and said, oh yeah, this is giving me what I want to get out of it. So it's pretty easy.
That's great.
Sure. All Awesome. And if you were to give one tip to a new patient coming in and considering a medical marijuana certification and kind of their card, what would it be? What would be the one most important thing to kind of give as a tip?
I think, again, it's very important to understand, what, again, your medical situation is, and be able to ask the right questions about, exactly what is I'm going to need. And then again, going over the different options as far as what's out there, whether it's edibles or tinctures. And as a matter of fact, I didn't mention that. Tinctures are another thing that I've used quite a bit, particularly for like the insomnia. So there's a nighttime version of something. The other thing too was during chemotherapy, I had issues with energy. And so, someone advising me, well, we have these daytime options that you can try. So again, based on your individual circumstance, you want to go in there saying, things like, well, I don't want to smoke. I want to stay away from that, or, I need something to give me energy, or I need something to just deal with a pain or nausea. Again, with chemotherapy, I mean, I have to say I didn't have as much problems with it as other people had, but certainly I had days where I didn't want to eat. Sure. And, what's out there that's going to help me, appetite wise.
Right, right.
Yeah, so that would be, my thing. Right.
And how are you healthy today? Where are you in your cancer treatment? Is it kind of on the behind you now? Or are you still in treatment?
No, it's behind me. So like I said, I went through stem cell therapy back in August. And as far as effects go, I mean, I still have some things going on. Some weakness in my legs. I have neuropathy, which is basically like numbness, tingling in my fingers and toes, and trying to get over that hump. But as far as things like energy level and any things related to appetite and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's all gone.
Great.
Yeah.
Every day that you get further, I'm sure you feel much better on a daily basis.
Right.
It takes time. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, most definitely.
Greg, thank you so much for sharing your story and kind of how medicinal cannabis has helped you. We appreciate it. And we appreciate you being a valued MedWell client. So thank you.
Great job, Greg. Thank you so much, Greg.
My experience with MedWell has been great. And, last year when I had my appointment, I had to do it virtually because obviously of COVID. And that was awesome. That really went well. And I spoke with the doctor for, it was a renewal. So, at this point I'm experienced with, everything that I need. And so it was pretty easy. And I think that's a great option. And I think probably overall, I would expect that MedWell would continue to do that even once COVID is over with, hopefully very soon.
Massachusetts lets us, yes.
Yeah. Some people, depending on their conditions, maybe they don't want to get into a car and drive somewhere, and they're not capable of doing that. So I think overall, that's a great option.
I will say a lot of people with anxiety too get a ton of anxiety and won't even go in and get their script. So I think the telemedicine really opens up for people that, deal with that crippling anxiety, which so many cannabis people actually do.
So true. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. This was awesome today. Thank you so much, guys, for all of your knowledge and sharing your story. We really appreciate it. And for all of our friends out there that are watching, please feel free, if you are catching the replay, to leave a comment or a question. And if you are interested if you're a new patient or if you are in need of a recertification, MedWell Health and Wellness can help you. Go to medwellhealth.net, and we are here to answer any questions and help you with your certification. We look forward to seeing you next time, everybody. Thank you again, friends, and everybody have a great day. And thanks, Kayla, for being a rock star once again.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.